folks that wanted to get a cost plan, and then about 2,500 feet, had to check the oil pressure.
They are. Well,
don't worry, I got my opportunity to check it. All right, you ready now?
Okay.
All right. If we can rise, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the October 15 meeting for the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair of the Shawnee County Commission, and joining me today is Commissioner Shelley Bueller. Good morning. Good morning. Commissioner Bob Archer. Good morning.
Good morning.
Before we get started, I would like to note that later this afternoon, as soon as the meeting's done, I'll be leaving to go to the Kansas County Commissioner Association meeting, and in preparation, I'd asked Ms. Rezac to try and keep our agenda light, so this is what a light agenda looks like. Madam Clerk, if we could start with our first item.
Proclamations, presentations. Number 1, presentation of Vallejo's third quarter report.
Commissioners, thank you for the time.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to see everybody turn out to hear about mental health today. I shouldn't need more than about an hour, and then we'll get you on the road.
There you go.
You have a written report in front of you. There's an advanced copy sent out. That got modified Thursday or Friday with some new information, and we did send along the September 30 financial statements, which you have a paper copy of there this morning. There has been a copy distributed to other members and the press as well. I want to introduce Frank Henderson, our governing board chair, and Dick Klein on the governing board. I'll just start out by making a quick reference to the financial statement. You can see the September financials as well as the September year-to-date. We are enjoying some black figures to the tune of $716,000 and change. It's nice to be able to breathe for a change. That's about a little more than 10 days operations, and so if we were adding pluses and minuses, we'd be ahead by 10 or 11 days right now. How that'll look December 31, we do not know. We already know that it did drift on south about 100,000+ in September. The financials were bolstered by a couple of cash grants. I say cash grants, grants from the state of Kansas to pay for services that we render in a facility that we call The Residence. It's our 24-hour crisis stabilization program located at 400 Southwest Oakley. $73,000 a month at that facility just to serve the uninsured, and so these grants cover that. Right now we have the hope and the prospect those grants will continue, but they haven't all been solidified. We are working on that. So in our business, it's all about the uninsured, it's all about Medicaid. Those are the two kind of drivers of whether or not we do well financially. We just refer you to that and sure stand for questions as you look through those line items. I know that you also have my personal cell phone number. Please call me if you have questions on down the road. Be glad to address those, and the ones I can't answer, we'll get our Chief Financial Officer to answer those for you. So I will say that speaking of grants, we did finalize a $200,000 one-time funding agreement with the state to cover services for the uninsured who need care and services during a period of crisis housing. That money came from the legislature. Our local contingent had a lot to do with that, as did others. It's we think it's a one-time pot of money. We don't know that it'll recur again, but it does stem from the sale of Rainbow State Hospital over in Kansas City a few years ago, and there was a legislator from that area who took the lead on helping Vallejo and a program in Wichita get some of that money, as did the mental health director over there. So they shared those dollars with us, and it was quite a nice gift. But it'll go, toward follow-along services for people who need crisis care. Blue Cross Blue Shield, not for the first time, the foundation has awarded Vallejo and the other mental health centers $2,000 for services for the uninsured. So hats off to Marlou Wegener and the foundation. We also just fully executed a $150,000 It's a pilot project for housing for adults with who are coming out of detox and other alcohol and drug services. Those services are nearly always full in Shawnee County and around the state, and sometimes there's a little lapse between leaving one level of alcohol and drug treatment, getting back into the next level. So we don't want folks to be homeless, start down a path to where they lose what they've gained in their detox. So we provide them housing for up to 30 days and any number of arrangements that work for them, as well as services till we can get them back into treatment. So we hope it will reduce homelessness, re-addiction, hope it will help prevent crime and just help people maintain their recovery. But that is a $150,000 pilot project that we just established with KDAD. So we will, hopefully it'll set up a model, what's called Housing First, which in the field of mental illness and addiction, what we try to do now is pay attention to housing first. A lot of other things will flow if a person has a safe, decent, affordable place to live. So we think that's a major, major part of recovery. And if, a lot of what I've been saying for several years, if you ask me what Vallejo does, we help people find jobs and a place to live, to reestablish their family connections. So the grants that we've been seeking, the philosophies and the policies we've been trying to implement all circle around employment and housing and health care and quite a few other initiatives. I just want to point out that Nicole Pasafume, one of our peer support specialists, was awarded Provider of the Year recently by the Kansas chapter of NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Our fundraiser's coming up this weekend, and I'll let you read about that. Also, we want to say thank you to owner and chef Adam Von Dong of White Linen for donating proceeds the first week in November to Vallejo. There was a grand reopening of our art gallery downtown. That art gallery is financially pretty much self-sustaining, and so it's a great outlet for our folks who are recovering and want to put their art out for sale. And just a number of activities with the Greater Topeka Partnership. Just might ask you, I know you got a full house here, just as you have time, run down the list of collaborations. I'll point out an upcoming meeting we have with Linda Oakes and the rest of the team there at the Health Department to talk about collaborations, how we can work together, what's going on in healthcare, and just several other collaborations we've got going on. As always, Director Cole is great help to folks here in the county who have mental illness and addiction. I think I'll pause there for questions, and thank you for your time.
I know, Bill, we've got a lot to do and talk about, but
yes, sir.
Mental health is an important issue, and so I want to just take a brief moment. At our last community town hall meeting with the Health Department and Health Agency, the lack of mental health access or the perception of mental health needs ranked at the top. Followed by issues with drug and alcohol counseling and access to drug and alcohol resources. You mentioned that the crisis center that we opened up about 5 years ago is at peak capacity, and that serves the uninsured. Is that where we're seeing the most needs? Is that, I suppose it really is surprising that if you're addicted to drugs and alcohol, you don't have health insurance, but is that where we would see the most need for mental health currently?
Yeah, that's, a great question, Commissioner. Thank you. It's one of several entry points. People can come in for routine services anytime during the day, but it's those crisis touch points where we see most people and where the demand is very high. The facility at 400 Southwest Oakley is often full or at capacity, typically 17, 18 people. It'll hold 26. We had 31 in there one day, and so we could not keep them there, so we transferred them to just temporarily to one of our 3 residential care facilities for a few days so that we didn't turn them out. The co-responder program that the county and Vallejo and the state help sponsor is going very well. It's a 24/7 program. Detox is a high touch point. The detox beds are always full. The social detox programs, we could easily double those beds. Medical detox is always a concern. We're working on that. In terms of demand, it's very high, and we're not turning anyone away, but the demand is so high. There's just several touch points on a 24-hour basis that we have with people. It's often the entry into, at least for adults, it's often the entry level place where we see people for mental health care.
Well, I know that the Commission about 5 years ago made a significant reinvestment into mental health with the idea that we were either going to invest the money on the front end with you or on the back end with Brian Cole and Department of Corrections, and that it costs less to invest it in the front end than it does in incarceration costs. So I'm hopeful that we can start to see a return of investment if possible, and really support everything that you do there in addressing those issues.
We're working hard on it. The Housing First grant I mentioned, the care for the uninsured, the alcohol and drug program that you help support in the county jail does a lot. We just, we reported last time that we added a peer support specialist at our own expense to the jail. It'll be 12, 15, 18 hours a week to help people prepare for employment when they are released from the county jail, and housing as well. We hope a number of these things are going to have an effect, and we just need to find a better way to measure that. I do know the topic of discussion with Linda and her team coming up will be, what about access to mental health care, and are there any gaps out there, and can we fix those? So that's going to be a major topic. So other than having some lunch, I think, so. Which Linda has graciously arranged for. So
plans we're going to put in place to help improve conditions. So
right.
Yeah. Appreciate you setting that up, and
I
know Linda's here somewhere. There she is.
She is.
Sorry.
Standing room only.
So that'll be very important.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Archer.
Thank you for coming, and thank
Sir.
you for the good report. Frank and Dick, thank you for coming and showing your support. It's well appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you, Bill.
Take care. Have a great day.
Our next item, Madam Clerk.
Unfinished business. Number 1, discussion and consider approval of Home Rule Resolution Number 2018-2, adopting the Shawnee County Comprehensive Plan.
Good morning, Commissioners. Joni Fedani, Assistant County Counselor, here this morning for the consideration of the comprehensive plan. What you have in front of you is the Home Rule Resolution 2018-2 for consideration of the comprehensive plan. What we did after the last meeting was we did go through and make all of the changes as directed by the Commission, and we put those all together into a final version of the plan and posted that online, as well as the link is with here on the agenda. And we are ready for consideration, and if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Let's go through first, when, if passed, when would this plan go into effect?
Just the same as any other home rule resolution, it would go into effect after publication in the newspaper. It's the same as any other sort of resolution that we would be considering. The plan then itself would have to be all printed up and given to any of the appropriate departments who need to have a copy of it. And then it's there for reference and then consideration for any further steps that need to be taken. Nothing has to happen for the plan to be in effect after you consider it and if you approve it. It would be then the consideration of what happens next after that, and there's no specific rules for how that would happen.
So if approved, and then there's publication, the comprehensive plan would then be on file.
Correct.
But if we have any further action or implementation, those would be actions that come before the commission, and the public would have the ability to weigh in on those.
That's correct. Anything that happens after the plan is put into place still has to be considered by the commission. There's the potential, as we've talked about, redoing regulations. What we would want to do is take those regulations and consider them against the comprehensive plan, determine what regulations would potentially need to be modified. And part of the matrix on Chapter 7 would show a list of all of the items that could be done, recommendations and goals of the plan. And so part of that would be done by the Planning Commission. A lot of it would be done by the Planning Commission, in fact, determining what needs to happen next, and so would go through the Planning Commission before coming to the board.
And I just want to make sure and clarify that there's not an immediate fiscal impact, but there could be a fiscal impact in the future.
That's correct. In terms of the fiscal impact, that's exactly right. Now, in terms of how the Planning Commission considers the plan, we have, per law, rules that we have to follow in terms of what is considered when they are making determinations in front of them. And one of those 7 considerations that they look at is what is in the comprehensive plan. So part of what has to be considered is if there's a difference in the comprehensive plan to what the regulations are right now, is that we should start taking a look at those.
I think that, Commissioners, what I would like to do is, since we have had some changes in public input and more changes and more public input, and then getting us to the draft document that we have before us today, are there any other changes or corrections or amendments that the Commission is wanting to make to it?
No.
Okay. At this point, what I would like to do is I would like to open up public comment before we take any action on the comprehensive plan. So that is there any public input, any persons that wanting to speak for or against the adoption of the comprehensive plan in its current final form? Any public comment at all for or against the comprehensive plan?
Commissioners, Joseph Ledbetter. I'm an attorney here locally, and my comments are going to be very brief. You've heard them before. I actually sent you an email this morning. There's one name that I was emailed over the weekend that I was not able to add on to that in opposition to this plan, and that was Tom Peterson, who's a local developer, and I believe he lives in Miss Bueller's district on Hoke Road, and he also is opposed to passing the Shawnee County Comprehensive Plan. Along with Mario Guerrero, who has acreage and a house on 45th Street, Southwest 45th. Fred Sanders with a large tract of land on Southeast 41st. The House of the Lord Church, which has land in unincorporated Shawnee County as well as in the city. And then myself with my farm and acreage on the 8000 block of Southeast California. All of them and myself are opposed to the plan. I've already stated why in previous records, so I won't be redundant. I want to thank you for that and for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
Mr. Ledbetter, you have stated before your objections, but under the new version, have you reviewed that, and are your objections the same?
They're still the same.
Okay.
Basically, my clients and myself just believe that we don't even need this kind of a plan for Shawnee County. We believe we're different. Shawnee County is a different county. We just see no need for it. Thank you.
Any other persons wanting to speak on the comprehensive plan? Commissioners, having this has gone on now for almost a 2-year process to get us to where the point that we're at. I recognize that there are many in the audience that will not completely agree with or completely oppose, and the comprehensive plan as in its final form, I believe, represents a compromise between those interests and does allow us to adopt a first comprehensive plan for Shawnee County. And as has been said in prior meetings, this will allow us to recognize what the needs are for the future development of Shawnee County, and we would be able to take to or add, delete from as we do future reviews to meet the needs of Shawnee County. And with that being said, I would move for the adoption of the comprehensive plan.
I'll second.
Any other public comment or discussion of the motion? Motion made by Commissioner Cook for the adoption of the comprehensive plan, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
No.
Motion passes 2-1 with Commissioner Archer dissenting. Thank you very much, Ms. Donnie. Thank you for the Planning Commission and the Planning Department and all of the work of the public that have gone into this. Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
There's a motion to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk. Number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Vouchers are totaling $1,338,077.69. We have 7.5 pages of juror pay, which equal $25,392.36. The detention facility and their payments, $262,833.33. And also, under Special Public Works Reconstruction, $35,692.29 is for Southwest 29th Street over Mission Creek. But if there are no questions, I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for approval of the correction orders.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cook for approval, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, County Counselor. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of Contract C-324-2018, amendment to Contract C-141-2018 with Terracon for geotechnical services to provide supplemental services for subsurface exploration and geotechnical engineering for the proposed parking lot improvement at the Kansas Expo Center at a cost of $4,700.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Krause, Shawnee County Councilor. I have 2 items on this morning, both related to the Expo Center renovations project. This first item is an amendment to our existing contract with our geotechnical firm, Terracon, to have them do some additional borings in the parking lot area to see if we can use a milling and overlay type of system for repairing the parking lot. If we can do that, we can save a substantial amount of money on the project. So this is an exploratory project to see what type of parking lot really we can and need to put in.
Well, I think that anything that can address that parking lot is well-deserved.
I'll move approval of the contract.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 2, consider approval of recommendation to award the bid for construction manager at risk services to McCown Gordon Construction for the Kansas Expo Center renovation and new building construction project, and authorization for the County Counselor's Office to negotiate a contract.
For the record, Jim Crowell again. Commissioners, we started this process on August 6th, and it's a lengthy statutory process. You authorized our office, along with a selection committee, to seek qualifications for a construction manager at risk for the project. We initially had 5 companies respond. By the time we went through the entire process, we had 3 companies provide presentations. Much like when we did the RFP process for the venue management, we ended up with 3 companies that we all felt would do a good job if selected on the project. One company, though, did stand out and comes to you unanimously recommended by the selection committee, not only for the presentation that they made and their proposal. They also had quoted the lowest proposed fees for the project, so it made that recommendation fairly simple. I've got with us today 2 vice presidents of the company, Jeff Bennett and Todd Knight, and I'd ask them to come up and just provide some additional information about their company to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, let's get the mouse to work. I put a little presentation together. My eyes are not quite that good. Okay. Again, for the record, my name is Jeff Bennett, Vice President with McCown Gordon Construction. I just want to thank you for your consideration. We're very excited to have the opportunity to be here to talk a little bit about us. They told us to keep it brief, so we will, and understand you're leaving town. Really, I wanted to hit on a couple of key things that are important to me. Pretty much every conversation with McCown Gordon starts with our core values. I wanted to run through those with you real quickly. The first is integrity. We've already made this promise to the selection committee, but our promise to you is to always tell the truth in this process and be open and transparent through the process. It's about relationships. At the end of the day, everything starts with people and ends with people, and we've made some great relationships with many of the folks already involved in this, and look forward to continuing that as we go forward here. And finally, performance. At the end of the day, you have to perform. Doing what we do, you have to perform. One of the bellwethers of that for us is in our entire existence, we've never been in a lawsuit and we've never been assessed liquidated damages. And I think that says a lot about our core values. Kind of the icing on the cake is we're 100% employee owned, which just, for me, it just shows that we have at every person in the company has a dedication to doing everything by these core values and living up to those going forward. A little bit about our experience quickly. We feel like we have great experience for this. The first project is really very similar. It's the Salina Tony's Pizza Event Center. Really did almost exactly what we plan to do here, which is renovate that facility while it is an active facility. We did that without missing any of their events, which I know is critical to the revenue going forward, so that's a real critical project. We just finished the Kemper Arena renovation, which is now called Hy-Vee. That one is very interesting. That's the picture you see there, but we actually added an entire level inside the arena and created two areas for amateur sports to happen in that arena. So if you ever get over there, it's worth checking out. It's very unique. We're doing the new volleyball facility for KU. We were just awarded the Olathe Event Center, which is a hockey arena in Olathe. We did the Bartle Hall expansion, which is very similar to the expansion you're going to do in the exposition hall, as well as equestrian experience. So bring a lot of experience that I think will serve us well on your project. During our interview, we made a promise. We really think this boils down to three things. One is we're going to maximize local participation. It's key that the dollars spent on this project stay here, and we'll make sure that happens. We're never going to miss an event. We understand that every event puts dollars in the county's pocket and offsets the dollars you pay to keep that facility running, so we will endeavor to do that. And we're going to serve as a 100% transparent partner. I'm going to let Todd come up and kind of dive into a little more detail.
Thank you. Again, Todd Knight, McCown Gordon. To dive a little deeper into this promise and how we anticipate and delivering on this promise, we wanted to touch on just a couple things that we think lend our ability to deliver on those items. First and foremost, we're as notified by ENR Midwest, the largest contractor in the state of Kansas. So the relationships that we have across the state, we fully intend to utilize those to bring value to the Expo Center in Shawnee County. But first and foremost, it starts right here in this county, and that starts with the trade partner relationships that we've been fortunate to build. We work with over 75 local trade partners through our history. We also talked to the selection committee about possibly fracturing a component of this project off of the overall project, which might be able to allow some of the local general contractors to participate. And then lastly, it doesn't stop with the construction efforts. It's the local businesses that we intend to also involve in this project, from hotels and gas stations and to the hardware stores, keeping those taxpayer dollars here. So any contractor that comes into our job site will be encouraged to reinvest their dollars right here in Shawnee County. And then lastly, we mentioned earlier about our efforts to be 100% transparent. That really starts with the community. We're going to let them know what our plans are long before we ever start, so that way when they visit the facility to watch concerts or different events, they understand what's happening, and then ultimately what is about to occur within the facility, and then what the ultimate goals are long term. maximizing those taxpayer dollars we talked about, and increasing the revenue potential. These facility upgrades will allow this facility to allow other events and folks to visit this facility, and we think that that brings a huge value. And then lastly, the wish list items. Here's an example of something that through very effective construction management at the Tony's Event Center, we were able to dip into their wish list goals and allow them to have this monument sign along Ohio Street. And we would like to understand what your wish list items are, so possibly we can add a little icing to your cake at the end of the day. That wraps up our presentation. I'd love to answer any questions you might have. We're honored and humbled to be selected as your partner.
Todd, I might note that you are a Topeka native, and so...
Yes, absolutely.
So you are very familiar with the Expo Center and its impact into the local economy and to our hometown.
You bet.
So I think that in the presentation that you made to the committee, you had explained that there's possibly some ways that we might have some cost savings by our timeline. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, sure. The original information that was shared with us during the pursuit, they were anticipating potentially a 3-year overall construction duration. Well, we've had successes working with the management of facilities like this to accelerate the construction process, especially in those areas that have a minimal impact to the visitor and patron experience. If there are areas that we can segregate ourselves within the facility, complete renovations in a faster manner, that allows us to access the site for a shorter duration, which greatly reduces the cost for our supervision and management, as well as all of the other contractors that are going to be involved in the project. So there could be potentially, we are looking at potentially a overall duration of less than 2 years. We'll have to work with the management team and understand the event schedule, which we have not yet been privy to, but we think there's a huge cost savings to generally squeeze down the overall construction duration. You bet.
I know that that's been one of the concerns that we've had is with our costs and looking at developing that budget, which you would be very much involved in developing that budget and making sure that we have enough resources allocated to that budget. But that timeline would be one area for cost savings.
Absolutely. Any way we can go faster will allow additional components to be invested into your facility. So it's high on our priority list, you bet.
Okay. Commissioner Bueller.
It's maybe a question for Jim. How is the interaction between Dean and this organization, Dean Farrell?
Well, Dean is our representative,
Okay.
and so he's our eyes and ears on the site, and he creates field reports. He's already been creating those for the projects that we've started, the HVAC and the boiler project, and he's our eyes and ears. He attends project meetings and keeps us aware of any issues as they occur and how the progress is going.
There isn't a duplication, it's distinct responsibilities.
Distinct,
right? Okay.
yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Archer, anything?
No, nothing to add. I've spoken to Jim and Betty about our contractors, and they're very excited to get to work with you, and so it was unanimous, and I understand it wasn't even close. So welcome aboard, look forward to working with you.
Yeah. I might have just one last question, and just for the, again, public, and just to reiterate, this is a at-risk component, so what's the risk?
Well, what I'm asking you to do today is to validate this recommendation and authorize my office to negotiate a contract with McCown Gordon to serve as our construction manager at risk. That will then start 2 phases, basically, of the project, the pre-construction phase and the construction phase. In the pre-construction phase, they will be working very closely with HTK on the construction documents and on the final design, and we will be ultimately working towards a guaranteed maximum price for the project. So once we reach that, and that'll be worked with in conjunction with the board, the commission here, and so that They will come back with a recommendation, and then we'll set a guaranteed maximum price, and then that's when the risk comes in, because once we set that, then that's where it has to, that's the cost.
All right. So once we have a final amount, that's the amount.
Yeah.
I'll move to approve the recommendation.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer,
I would second and thank the consultant selection committee
Yes.
as well.
motion made by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item C, Information Technology. Number 1, consider approval of request to purchase 1,090 licenses for the purpose of migrating our current on-premises Exchange 2007 email server to cloud-based Exchange Online at a cost of $76,630 with funding from the IT 2018 budget.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Price, Information Technology. The item you have before you is, as it states, to move from our existing Exchange server, which is a server sitting upstairs, has been there for quite some time, to Microsoft's Azure cloud. It'll give us a lot more options than we currently have and some security based on the fact it's not a single box and a single point of failure. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
Any questions?
No, move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item.
Number 2, consider authorization and execution of contracts C-325-2018 and C-326-2018 with Tyler Technologies for annual maintenance and licensing fees for the ExecuTime Advanced Scheduling and the ExecuTime Time and Attendance software products, along with their mobile access software at a cost of $28,160.61 with funding from the IT 2018 budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Frank McGee, Information Technologies Department. I got kind of a cold here. This is there's actually 3 parts to this product. It's the scheduling product, the advanced scheduling product, which the jail and the sheriff uses for their shift scheduling. There's the product that the employees use for their online coding, their time cards and stuff. And then there's the mobile product. And one of the things we're trying to do with this is get all 3 of the contracts dates to work in sync. One of them now comes due in July, and one comes due in November. And so the $28,000 that's listed on here would be the maximum amount for this. I don't actually have a invoice where they have actually combined the 3 of these, but the estimate they gave me was $26,000. So it should be a little bit lower than this, and the money is actually in our budget from the, I cover everything.
This pulls together all 3 contracts, and so that we have them all on the same renewal basis.
Right. So they'll all renew at the same time, and the expire at the same time.
Okay. Any questions? I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you very much. Our next item.
Item D, Sheriff's Office. Number 1, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Jones regarding renewal of a contract C-327-2018 with NetMotion for annual maintenance of software used to create a firewall between the network and air cards for 2018 through 2021 at a cost of $13,362.30 with funding from budgeted funds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Captain Hubler with the Sheriff's Office. As stated, this is a contract with NetMotion. We use NetMotion as a mobile firewall for all our MDTs, helps us comply with CJIS requirements, and we opted to go with a 3-year contract to save a significant amount of money.
Any questions regarding the contract?
I'll move to acknowledge receipt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Archer to acknowledge receipt, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Number 2, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Jones regarding consolidating 5 contracts for annual maintenance for different Axon body-worn cameras into one contract, C-328, 2018, with Axon Enterprise for 5 years with a payment of $59,649.38 the first year and increasing to $100,488 for the subsequent 4 years with funding from budgeted funds.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Captain Hubler with the Sheriff's Office. This is a quite extensive combination of contracts. We started our body-worn project several years ago with approximately 70 body-worn cameras. Then the reserve program added 10 cameras through theirs several months later. We added a couple other cameras through some other funding a couple of years after that. And then we went to the in-car system over a year ago. All those contracts had different timelines, and we spoke with Axon to see if there was a possibility of combining those contracts so we weren't chasing down contracts multiple times throughout the year. Just to reiterate, that all these contracts are with Axon's ultimate plan. So it includes all our video storage, which is quite significant, unlimited amount of video storage that we can have that is as long as it is recorded with Axon equipment. It is also part of the sorry, I can't talk now. Their ultimate plan is a tech refresh every 2.5 years. So every 2.5 years, we get their newest, best equipment shipped to us, no cost. Any damage that we have on existing equipment gets repaired, no cost for any of that. So I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
I do have a question. This is for 106 Axon body cameras. If we have the need for additional cameras in the future, are we able to have the same contract pricing for those additional cameras?
I don't know the answer to that, whether additional cameras would, if there have been cost increases since that point. I can tell you that while we have 106, we do have some people in non-camera wearing positions that we can move those cameras around to make sure that all officers on the street have body-worn cameras at all times.
I think that just as in today's world, the cameras protect not only law enforcement, but the public and just everybody as to what was transpiring. And so I think it's just important to note that if we do need additional cameras, what that additional cost might be.
Okay.
So, but I'll move to acknowledge receipt.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook.
Question?
Oh, yes.
Just real quick.
Yes.
But I do see there is a savings then, or a discount. There's a savings of $40,838, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 3, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Jones regarding renewal of a contract, C-329, 2018, with Voice Products Service, LLC, for annual maintenance of the covert iRecord audiovisual systems in the investigations interview rooms for the period of October 24th, 2018.
This contract is a maintenance agreement for the interview rooms at the Sheriff's Office, where suspects, occasionally victims, will be interviewed. We did some upgrades to the system last year. No upgrades are done this year. It's just a maintenance agreement for the existing hardware.
Okay.
I'll move to acknowledge receipt.
Motion to acknowledge receipt by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 4, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Jones regarding a new contract, C-330, 2018, with Axon Enterprise, Inc., for annual maintenance of the CAD interface for a period of 5 years, with the first payment made with the Burn JAG grant and the following 4 years in a total amount of $95,397.88, with funding from budgeted funds.
Again, Captain Hubler with the Sheriff's Office. It might be a little bit confusing with the earlier contract that this was not combined with. The main reason for that is the initial payment was with the Burn JAG grant, came to you over a year ago in regards to this. There was some delay in the burn jag funding. It finally came through this year. This product, just to refresh your memory, is every time a video is recorded, the officer on the street has to either go on his MDT or his smartphone, his or her smartphone MDT, and put the location, the case number, a lot of metadata that has to go in and get put in there. What this grant has allowed us to do is integrate our RMS, records management, CAD, sorry, computer-aided dispatch. It combines that information along with the Axon camera, and it puts all that data into the videos automatically, saving a considerable amount of time for the officers. They don't have to mess with it, typos don't happen, that type of thing. So be happy to answer any questions.
Any additional questions?
Move to acknowledge receipt.
Motion to acknowledge receipt by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Our next item.
Item E, Health Department, number 1, consider approval of request to change clinic hours beginning November 1st, 2018, to include remaining open during the lunch hours on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday to improve access to services.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. For many, many years, we have been closed over the lunch hour. And I think as a convenience to the public, we would like to have that lunch hour available for people to walk in and get their shots, to make appointments in the clinic, to get WIC services. I mean, 20 years ago, we had a lot more WIC clients that stayed home, parents stayed home. That just isn't the case anymore. So we know that staff, a lot of times they'll be in the building during lunch, like at 10th Street, and they can hear those phones ringing. People are calling. And so we want to be available to serve the public with this. So we are asking to stay closed on Wednesdays for lunch because at 1 o'clock is our regular staff training time. And we use that for team meetings and all staff training. So the staff involved put a work group together, made out the plans. We've spoken with the union. We've spoken with Human Resources. Everyone is supportive and in agreement, and I think it would be a great service to our customers. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Commissioner Archer?
And it stays within your budget.
It stays within our budget, yes.
And it improves customer service to the public.
Absolutely.
Sounds like a motion.
I'll move to approve. I'll move to approve. Yeah, it sounds great.
Thank you.
I'll second. Great idea, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you to the team, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Our next item.
Item F, Solid Waste, number 1, consider awarding bid for the purchase of multiple metal commercial waste containers to Kelly Equipment at a cost of $16,112 with funding from the Solid Waste Collection Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Justin Pike, Solid Waste. Before you, you have the RFQ that we requested, 058-18 for rear load containers. After reviewing the bids that were provided to you, there were 4 received. The best one, as stated, was from Kelly Equipment for $16,112. There's no detrimental financial impacts as a result of this purchase, and we request your approval.
Might just note this is using enterprise funds, so they're not taxpayer supported. Any questions? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 2, consider approval of a request for an emergency purchase for engine repairs on a solid waste truck at a cost of $12,765 with funding from the Solid Waste Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Justin Pike, Solid Waste. As you can imagine, mechanical devices can and will fail, so from time to time our in-house mechanics cannot repair them. We sent this particular truck that does have a useful life of 5 more years out for service, and the Kenworth folks came back and said that it's going to require $12,765 at this time. We request your approval.
Any questions regarding the repair? Commissioner Archer?
Was there a warranty issue involved at all?
No, sir.
It was outside of warranty, but it still had remaining useful life
Correct.
to justify. Okay. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 3, consider approval of request for upgrades for 3 route supervisor phones to smartphones with email-enabled data system at an additional cost for all 3 of $60 per month for a total annual expenditure of $1,730.52 with funding from the Solid Waste Collections Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Justin Pike again, Solid Waste. This is a first step in an effort to modernize and become industry standard. We're receiving a lot more of our work orders, our communications via email, much as with the iPads and the iPhones that you see. Our route supervisors currently are getting a request, getting a phone call, going back to the office, checking the email, and then going back out on the routes. So this will make them more efficient, more responsive to customer requests and service.
All right. Any questions regarding this item?
No. I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you very much. Our next item.
Item G, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of resolution number 2018-50, authorizing the placement and maintenance of a yield sign in place of a stop sign at the northeast corner of Northwest 46th and Northwest Thomas Road.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Flanagan, Public Works. We received a request from the Silver Lake Township Board. They're wanting to downgrade an existing stop sign to a yield sign at the northeast corner of 46th and Thomas Road. Due to the grade on 46th Street, school buses are having a difficult time coming up in adverse weather conditions, stopping, make a complete stop, and then get started again. We went out and did a warrant study, and we concur with the request to convert this stop sign to a yield sign. It'd be no cost to Shawnee County. Silver Lake Township would be responsible for furnishing the yield sign and installing it and maintaining it.
Tom, given that this is came about from the school buses, by converting from a stop sign to a yield sign, are we going to have any impact to the safety of the students by not coming to the complete stop?
No.
All right.
I'll move to adopt the resolution.
I'll second. Will there be a time period where you'll have some flags or, draw attention that it is not a stop any longer?
Yes, Commissioner, we would basically have them, or Silver Lake,
Right.
on all 3 legs of this intersection, put warning signs out or flags notifying that 46th Street westbound will not stop. They're on a yield.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Motion
Second.
made by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item H, Corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to pay the Department of Corrections portion of the New World Standard Software Maintenance Agreement, which includes maintenance for the inmate processing and inmate accounts management, as well as peripherals in name.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This is just an annual renewal of the Department of Corrections paying its share of the software maintenance that we work closely with the CECC and the Sheriff's Office and between the Department of the Corrections, but this is just an annual. We do budget for this annually. It was approved, and so this is just our portion to play, and we're here before you. I'll stand with any questions you may have. Thank you.
Questions for Brian?
No. I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item I, Human Resources. Number 1, consider approval of the recommendation of the Insurance Committee for the employee contribution rate for the 2019 health benefit plan year as follows. A, 50 cents per pay period for employee only. B, $4 per pay period for employee child. C, $7 per pay period for employee spouse. And D, $10.50 per pay period for employee family.
Good morning, Commissioners. Angela Lewis with Human Resources. The Insurance Committee met and made these recommendations for the increase to the employee portion of insurance cost. It's significant to note that while the employee is taking on a portion of the cost, the departments is also taking on a portion of the cost.
It appears that, just for an employee only, 50 cents per pay period is a relatively small amount. Is this what we see within market, below market? We were able to come in under what our expectations were?
Absolutely. This is below market. On trend, claims have increased 8.93% overall. We were able to keep it below 4% of an increase for the employee and the department.
Commissioner Bueller, all in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Number 2, consider approval of the recommendation of the Insurance Committee of an increase of $80.20 per month for 2019 retiree insurance contributions.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, Angela Lewis with Human Resources. To increase retiree insurance benefit is always something that I think the Insurance Committee and all of us who know what it means for retirees and their incomes to come before you and ask for an increase of. For this one, we had a 7-to-1 vote of the Insurance Committee to make the increase. $80.20 a month doesn't sound like a lot to some people, but when you're on a fixed income, it does. There was one member of the committee who had a different opinion on how things should go, and he is here today and would like to speak to you about his opinion.
Absolutely.
Good morning. Ron Lawson. I represent the Teamsters Union for the Insurance Committee. I was the only one that was opposed to increasing the retirees' contribution. I have, me personally, I'm getting close to retiring, so I'm thinking about this, but I have talked to several of the employees that are still with Shawnee County that are past their retirement time, and I've asked them why are they still here? And every one of them has mentioned, amongst some other things, but every one of them has mentioned that they can't afford the insurance. Right now, their insurance, if we approve this, their insurance will go up to $1,043.75 a month. The average retirement income is around $2,500. I'm speaking mostly for the union and for, that's kind of what I represent, so that's what I'm speaking toward. But if it's $2,500 a month, $1,043.75 of that goes toward insurance. That only leaves them less than $1,500 a month to live on. I can't live on that, and I don't know of too many people that can. I would ask that you decline this, or because for another reason is, I think what we're doing is we are discouraging people to retire when they probably should. In my line of work, it's very difficult to restrain a 20-year-old, a 16-year-old. I work for the juvenile, so 16-year-old at my age. And if I continue much longer, it gets even more difficult, which will increase my work comp possibilities, sick leave. When you get past a certain age, it's much more difficult to do this job. But a lot of people stay on because they can't afford to retire. I know that retirement age at 55 or before Social Security, it may not sound like a good thing, but for those of us who are in this line of work, it is very difficult to do this job once we reach a certain age. And I just ask that you not approve this one, and I would actually wish that it would just be straight the 100%. Rather than 120%, because it just seems like we're putting the burden of insurance on the backs of the retirees. And I understand, we went through the numbers the other day about the retirees have higher claims. Of course they do, because they're older. But there are also the new people that come in have very low claims. So it does balance out. And so basically, all I will ask is that, well, what I would really like is that they only pay 100%. But if at the minimum, I would ask that they continues with the 120%. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Linda, kind of going through this in preparation, these are employees that have met the eligibility to retire, but don't yet meet the age 65 for federal benefits?
Correct.
And of the number of people that have retired, that fall within that category, we have 15 individuals.
We had 15 at the time of the report. We have 24 currently, but they are all people who, we don't want to say retired early because they met the correct retirement age and stipulations. They're 85 points, but they are not 65 yet and eligible for Medicare or Medicaid.
Okay. In looking at the reports, it appeared that a number of them came from either Department of Corrections or from the Sheriff's Office.
That is also correct.
Okay.
And they are on, well, many of them, especially from the Sheriff's Office, they are retiring from KPNF, which has some increased benefits there.
Okay. And the committee did look at the claims that are made on the retirees, that there are more claims made on retirees than...
There are, absolutely. When we look at what the retirees' claims are in comparison to the active employees, the retirees' claims are 233% above the accruals for the retirees. And that's a significant amount. And while we, of course, appreciate all that the people who have worked for Shawnee County do, we do have to look at keeping our plan sustainable overall. Bringing it to the increase of 125, Mr. Lawson had mentioned that we're currently at 120%. 125 is the maximum that the state allows.
I'm sure this wasn't easy for the insurance committee to look at, but it's based on cost and experience, which is what insurance is based on. I'm not familiar with many organizations that even have health insurance for retirees anymore. That's sort of a days gone by benefit from what I understand. So I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer for approval, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Passes 2-1 with Commissioner Cook dissenting. Our next item.
Thank you.
Item J, Commission. Number 1, consider approval of Resolution Number 2018-51, appointing Kurt Niehaus as the Director of Public Works Solid Waste effective October 29th, 2018, with a compensation of $117,000 per year.
Good morning, Commissioners. Angela Lewis again with Human Resources. We have Mr. Niehaus here today. It's not only a good day for Shawnee County if you approve this, but it's a great day for Tom Flanagan.
I was going to use to sing Tom in a tie every
We'd ask that you approve this resolution and appoint Mr. Kurt Niehaus to the position of Director of Public Works and Solid Waste.
It is our pleasure to have this come before us. We interviewed several candidates. Mr. Niehaus rose to the top of your qualifications. If you wouldn't mind, if you could just tell us just a little bit about you, the background for the public and media so they kind of know who you are.
Sure. Born and raised in Shawnee County, except for 4 years spent in Manhattan and 2 years in Wichita. I've lived and worked my whole life in Shawnee County. I have a degree in civil engineering from Kansas State. I have a master's degree in civil engineering from Kansas State. I have a wife and 3 children, and most of them are here with us. My son, I don't think this would be his kind of thing, so he's not here, obviously, but I look forward to working with the commission and the employees of Solid Waste and Public Works, and just want to get started.
We're ready for you to begin.
Yes.
So, yeah. I would move to adopt the resolution.
Motion to adopt the resolution by Commissioner Bueller.
I'll second and say welcome aboard. We're glad you're here.
Thank you very much.
All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Congratulations and welcome to the job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome, Kurt.
Our next item.
Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for any member of the public or department head to address the commission on any item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kellen Seitz, Inspector of Venue Management in the Kansas Expo Center. First off, I want to thank you. We are, and my team are looking forward to getting to work with McCown Gordon shortly and hopefully making that 20-month deadline so we can start turning around events in the new building. So looking forward to that. Today is a very exciting day. We are proud and excited to announce that Cirque du Soleil Corteo will be coming back to the Kansas Expo Center in April for 6 performances from April 11th through the 14th. Pre-sale tickets for that event go on sale tomorrow for the venue, and on-sale tickets will go on sale Friday of this week. So this is a big achievement from the booking side for us. At the time we booked this event, we were able to book Cirque du Soleil twice in 7 months, so that was certainly something we were very proud of. So we do have 2 more event announcements coming up in the next week and a half, so stay tuned with us. It's a busy month in October for us at the Expo Center. So I need a nap. I'm going to go home and take that.
Well, I know that Commissioner Archer's looking forward to Darius Rucker.
Yeah, Darius Rucker. I heard last week, yes.
Good morning, Commissioners. Justin Pike, Deputy Director of Solid Waste, and I really should have gone first because mine is not nearly as exciting as Cirque du Soleil, so I do apologize. But we do have a good partnership with the Expo Center and the City of Topeka, and we're partnering with them with an event, an e-waste collection event this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we won't accept batteries, but we'll accept cell phones, your computer waste, your TVs. The TV monitors will be for a price, $15 for 19 inches or less, or $30 for 20 inches or more. But we will be there collecting the e-waste. We invite the public to come out and see us. It's one of the few times that we actually get to see you when we're not driving past your house. So thank you.
And that's this Saturday?
Yes, sir.
And that's at the Expo Center?
Correct.
All right.
And Justin, if I may, is there a price for the computer monitors then? It's just the TV monitors?
Well, it's any CRT monitors.
Okay.
And I should not differentiate that.
Okay.
It's all monitors, whether it's TV or computer monitors.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. I have a couple of events coming up in the next 2 weeks, and I wanted to start getting the word out. First is we're going to have 2 flu clinics for uninsured adults for free flu shots. So this is just uninsured adults. If you have Medicare or any other insurance, or if you're under the age of 18 and under, come to the clinic during our regular hours, which will include lunch, starting November 1st. So these clinics are for uninsured adults, 19 or older. The first one is Thursday, October 25th, and it's from 5 to 7 p.m. at our 10th Street Clinic. And that address is 2115 Southwest 10th. So Thursday, 5 to 7. So if you can't make that one, Saturday, November 3rd, from 1 to 3, we will also offer these free flu shots. And the vaccine is provided to us by the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, and we encourage everyone 6 months and older to get a flu shot. We're getting a lot of calls asking about free flu, so I wanted to get the word out about that. The other event that's coming up, again, November 3rd, is our annual community baby shower for safe sleep, and that is going to happen from 10:30 to 12 at the Avondale East CRC Care Center, and that's 455 Southeast Golf Park Boulevard. And you may have seen the report this last week that Kansas is seeing an increase in asphyxiation deaths, especially in infants, and we are seeing an increase in sleeping deaths, mostly due to co-sleeping. But there are other problems with sleeping. So we want to do the safe sleep to get out to the public and to new parents how to put your baby down to sleep safely. We also give out free pack and plays, diapers, wipes, so it's a great event. And we'll be offering free Tdap shots, that's the tetanus, diphtheria, and acellular pertussis shot. And those will be given to expectant mothers and any caregivers because, again, it's called cocooning. We want to make sure everyone around those newborns is protected against pertussis. So I'll be reminding you of those events, but I just want to start getting the word out so people can get them on their calendars.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Good morning, Commission. Herman Jones, Shawnee County Sheriff there. Just want to come and talk a little bit about some of the things that we're seeing, some trends that are going on across the county as well as in the city here. But there's been a rise in burglaries, car burglaries specifically. And a lot of that is, what we're seeing is, we've been preaching this in the Safe Street Coalition, is to, you know, that's the slogan of lock it, remove it, or lose it. And we cannot say that enough, and that majority of the car burglaries are from vehicles that are left unlocked, left on the streets or in the driveways and those type of things right there. So we're really putting out to the public, I think we put out some media information out as what we're seeing, and for the public to help us, one of two ways, on the front end and the back end. And one is lock your doors. Lock your vehicles, lock the homes, in that individuals that are breaking into vehicles or burglarizing may not necessarily take anything of value that you notice, but sometimes they're taking garage door openers. So what happens is, when you get in your car, you notice maybe some things disturbed, not pay attention, and a little bit later on you realize that the garage door opener has been removed. And then subsequent to that, later on, those thieves will come back and go into your homes. So we're advocating to individuals, if you have anything in your car, remove that. And then lock the doors as well. We don't want individuals to look into cars and see something that may be valuable and maybe not. There are people that are breaking into cars or going into cars just to take coins, just some change that you have in there. Remove that. Take a look at your car. If you see anything that you may think may be valuable, remove it. Have a plain Jane vehicle inside right there. Put it in the house, take it with you, put it in your trunk or whatever it is, but don't make it attractive to individuals. And the other part to that is lock your doors. What is disturbing is that when someone breaks into a car, one item that is being stolen, guns. People are leaving their guns in the cars, and thieves are breaking in, and then they're taking a weapon. That becomes a safety issue for all of us here. I will say that not long ago, Sedgwick County lost a deputy. It was actually murdered by an individual that had a stolen handgun. So that becomes a very serious issue when we're talking about not just for police officers, but general public out there. So we're really asking for the public to help us on that. And what we're doing on that, we're getting that information out. We've put out the code red to individuals in affected areas. And this is across the county as well as in the city. So we're working with the police department right there. We're teaming up on this, because the shame of that is some of these thieves are shared not just on the county but also in the city as well. So we're teaming up with the police department. We've got special units that are out there, sitting out there at nighttime and those type of things. The majority of the time, the burglaries are happening in the evening times when we're asleep, you know, those quiet hours in the early morning hours there. So we're putting our folks out there in special areas looking for these individuals and apprehending. We've been able to apprehend some folks, but there is still an issue out there. Just in September, we saw an uptick of about 40 burglaries, which is very unusual there. And again, over half of those burglaries to vehicles there were left unlocked. So that's what we want to get that information out or so, or anything that we can do right there. So any questions or so?
Thank you.
Well, I'd say thank you, Sheriff, for coming. From what I understand, some of the burglaries are more brazen than they've ever been before. Going into people's garages and then breaking into their homes when they're occupied. Right. And I would call on Chief Cochran to have a press conference to, just like you, say what's going on in our city and what people should do, and that can't be emphasized enough, to not be a victim of this. I've heard from a number of constituents, they're concerned, and I hope this is a beginning of us taking action that we need to do, so.
Yeah, and if I can add that what has been very helpful for us in that there's so many individuals anymore that have private security systems and video.
Right.
If you have anything, if you suspect anything, provide that video, really helpful for our investigation of those individuals. We've been able to identify some individuals that have been seen around cars, lurking around, driving through neighborhoods and those type of things, and giving that information there. It's that old bit of, if you see something, say something. That's very helpful. Again, we're not the only victims of that. We've been working with other law enforcement in surrounding areas that are having an uptick of this as well. And again, some of these individuals, I suspect, are sharing that they're no good in other areas as well. So anything we do, so appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public or department heads that have anything to communicate this morning? Commissioner Archer.
Yes, I have a couple of things. Number one, I would like to mention that we were, on Thursday morning, we were at the Community Action annual meeting, and Commissioner Cook was recognized with the Velma Paris Award. Congratulations. It's a tribute that was well-deserved, and you've made this commission proud by receiving that award. Number two is the latest edition of Fortune magazine. There was an article on the 20 best workplaces for manufacturing and production, and it says whether they make replacement hips or water-saving toilets, the manufacturers on this list all have something in common. Their employees love working there. Number 4 on the list, Mars chocolate. So what a good recommendation for one of our community partners. And then finally, there is going to be an intercity visit sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce starting tomorrow and going through Friday in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm honored and privileged to be able to attend that event, and I'll report back when we get back. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Archer, while you're there, please take note of all of the broadband that they employed. Take note of what missteps they may have made and what, so that we don't make the same. I look forward to a full report at JADO. Now you got your homework.
Nothing like. I'll take notes, Mr. Chair.
Congratulations on your
Thank you.
award. It's well deserved. And have a great conference and a great trip.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I will be here in Shawnee County.
I might note that there is not a meeting on the 18th. We will have a meeting on the 22nd. And if there's any issues, always contact the commission. Even though we may not be here, work is still being done. And we are always here to serve. So with that, our next item.
Executive sessions.
There is not a need for an executive session today. We are adjourned.